Hey, it's Adam, and in this video, I'm super excited to be teaching you one of the most powerful spiritual techniques that exists. This is how to do self-inquiry. Now, self-inquiry is such a powerful spiritual technique because it goes directly right to the heart of the issue of spirituality. The reason why we are doing spirituality, the reason why spirituality is important is because fundamentally in your life, you are dissatisfied with constantly striving and chasing after material pleasures. In your life, constantly in every moment, you are stuck in your mind, and the purpose of the mind is to always accomplish tasks and to achieve goals and to strive after pleasure and success that is always in the future. Notice how if you're always stuck in your mind, you can't be present because you're always chasing after pleasure in the future. And by the way, pleasure does not exist in the future because the future isn't real. The future only occurs as an idea in the present. So if you want to have a more pleasurable life, if you want to actually have peace of mind, what you have to do is you have to use techniques, spiritual techniques, that help you detach from the mind so that we can ground ourselves in the present moment, which is where you will find bliss and pleasure. Now, your true nature, your most basic state of being, the way you are naturally, is in a pure, beautiful, blissful, relaxed, and peaceful state of being. Now, the ego, which is what you think you are, your identification with body and mind, that thing causes a lot of trouble in your life. It causes a lot of suffering. The ego is the false self, and it is your separation from the rest of the present moment. And the ego has to survive. And the way the ego survives is by keeping your attention constantly stuck in concept land in your mind, in fairy tale la la land. Now, if you haven't noticed, you spend 95, probably 99% of your time during the day stuck in la concept, unconscious mind space. You're constantly stuck in your thoughts. And what this technique of self-inquiry is going to help us do is to detach from the mind energy and move into our heart energy, which is a more pure way of being. You will find when you start to get really good at self-inquiry that you will feel better in each present moment. You'll have a higher vibration. You'll feel more love in each moment. And also you'll find that you are a lot less affected by the everyday happenings of life. So the world is going to be happening, but it won't affect you. It won't make you angry. It won't make you scared. It won't make you sad and depressed. But you're going to be able to stay grounded in your peace, in your bliss that is rooted in your heart. So it sounds good, but in practice, this technique is a little bit technical, so that's why I'm going to walk you through it right now. So self-inquiry, I think, was originally invented or popularized by the teacher Ramana Maharshi, who is a very beautiful spiritual teacher. And the purpose of self-inquiry is to go right to the heart and ask the question, who am I? That is the main question that we're trying to answer when we're doing self-inquiry. Who am I? What am I? What is my deepest existence? What is my true nature? Now, if you are able to find your deepest nature, if you're able to remember who you are, then everything else in your life will become a lot easier. Because if you know who you are, then everything kind of just falls into place. Now, the biggest obstacle when we're doing self-inquiry is you already think that you know who you are. You already know who you are. And in fact, you have never even entertained the possibility that perhaps what I am is not what I think I am. And this is the number one obstacle, is that you live your entire life and you take this question, who am I? You take it for granted. You never even entertain the possibility that perhaps what I am is not what I have been told by my parents, or is not what I have been told by my culture. So you live your entire life identified with something that you are not, with the ego, with the story of self, with the I am a body, my name is Adam, I'm 20 years old, I live in this area, I have these likes, these dislikes. You identify with the ego, but that isn't actually what you are in the most deepest sense. What you truly are is something that can't be communicated in words. What you truly are is the thing that is always aware of the present moment. So, when we're doing self-inquiry, it's very important that you be very careful, because there's many traps that you can fall into, because this technique is going right to the core of destroying the ego. This technique is like getting your ego and putting it in a chokehold, and what's going to happen is the ego is going to get scared and it's going to fight back. But that's okay. This is all based in love, and this isn't you're not going to physically harm yourself by doing this technique. But let's get right into the core of the technique right now. So when we're doing self-inquiry, it's very important that we ground ourselves in the present moment. So you're going to need about maybe 30 minutes to do this technique. This technique works very well if you're also a good meditator. These two techniques, meditation and self-inquiry, go hand in hand. What you're going to want to do when you start is you're just going to want to ground yourself in the present moment and take a couple of minutes just to become aware that the present moment is all that exists. This is what you got. This is what life is. This is the present moment. This is the most real thing that you have in your experience, the present moment. Now, what self-inquiry is we're going to do an investigation into the present moment. We're going to investigate into our direct experience, and we're going to leave any beliefs, any thoughts, any stories or ideologies or concepts. We're going to leave all of those behind. And we're going to stay in our direct experience, and we're not going to get lost in thoughts, stories, and concepts. A good way to do this is to focus your attention on your heart. So take a deep breath. Breathe into the heart space and breathe out. And keep your attention focused on your heart, a relaxed attention focused on your heart. And when you find the mind energy, the mind starting to pull you away from the heart, you're just going to gently not give that any attention, ignore that, and go back to your heart. Okay. So this is when we start asking ourselves the question, who am I? And what you want to do is you want to get an experience in the present moment of who you are. You want to get awareness of who you are. Now, this is why self-inquiry is so tricky, because I'm talking about your true self, what you truly are, can't be a form. You can't be a thing. The reason why is because you are the one that is always aware of a thing. So normally we identify with the body, right? But notice that the body is a thing. It has a form. It has a particular way of being. And you can't be anything that has a form because you are always the one that is aware of forms. You don't have a form. You are the one that is aware of forms. And the reason why is because what you are, your true nature, your true self, is present in every moment. Every single moment, you stay exactly the same. The sense of I am, that sense stays exactly the same in every single present moment. So whether you're asleep and you're dreaming, whether you're asleep and you're not dreaming and you're just in deep sleep, whether you're awake, whether you're running a marathon, whether you're riding your bike, whether you're eating food, whether you're having sex, whether you're playing video games, that sense of I am stays exactly the same. Whether you're 5 years old, whether you're 10 years old, whether you're 20 years old, whether you're 100 years old, that sense of I am stays exactly the same. And that is also the same I am that is present before your birth and will continue to be present after your physical body dies. That is your true nature. This I am is pure nothingness, pure empty awareness, void. But notice how when I say the word void, when I say the word nothingness, when I say the word pure empty awareness, that word is not what you are. Because when I say the word nothingness, that word is something. That word has qualities. That word is a concept. But your true nature is actual nothingness. Something that exists, but it has absolutely no qualities at all. There's no characteristics. You can't point to it. But it is present and it permeates every single present moment. So that's a little description of your true nature, but notice that the description isn't going to help you in this process of self-inquiry, because what you're trying to find is a direct experience of this formlessness, this nothingness. And the way we get the experience is by constantly forcing your attention to remain present and concentrated on that sense of I am, that most basic I am. So this is how it's going to look in practice. So you're sitting there, you're grounded in the present moment. You're going to put your attention on your heart space. You're going to relax your breath, and you're not going to try and do anything. You're just going to relax. You're going to allow the present moment to be as it is. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have experiences. There's always going to be forms constantly being born, existing, and dying in each present moment. There's constantly forms that are coming through your attention field. Now, whenever a form distracts you from the present moment, what you're going to ask is a very important question. This is the one that works for me the most. Who is this experience happening to? That's the question you ask. So let's say you're sitting and all of a sudden you're distracted by some pain in your back, okay? You ask, who is this pain happening to? Who is aware of the pain? Who? Because I know that I am not the pain. That's not what I am. But I am the one that's aware of the pain. So as you ask yourself the question, who am I? What's going to happen is the ego is going to give you an answer. So the answer is going to be, oh, I am the body. Or, oh, I am the heart. Or I am awareness. Or I am nothingness. The ego is going to give you an answer. Now, your true nature is, you are never the answer. So the ego, whatever the answer is, you are not that. So the ego is going to give you an answer like, I am Adam. I am a human being. I am spirit. I am pure nothingness. These are all answers, and they all take the shape of a thought, of a concept, of a formed thing. You are never the answer. What you actually are is the one who is aware of the answer. The space in which the answer is existing in. Your true nature is that pure sense of I am, the fact of being. Just the fact that there is now, that's what you are. You are not a person. You are not a personality. You are not a body. You are not a story. You're not a name or a form or a word or a concept. What you actually are is pure, untainted awareness. And that awareness is here now. That's what you are now. And that's what you always have been and always will be. This is what Ramana Maharshi calls the self, with a capital S, the true self. The self, the true self, permeates the entire present moment. Meaning that everything that you see, everything that you are aware of is you. Anything that occurs in your field of awareness, that thing, that form, first of all, doesn't exist. Forms, so let's look at this book. Let's use our imagination. We're going to look at this book. This is The Science of Success by Wallace Wattles. Amazing book. I highly recommend you read. It's about law of attraction. It's a good book. But we're getting off course. So this book is a form. It has properties. It has shapes. Now notice how maybe a minute ago this book didn't exist. It wasn't in your awareness. But now it is. Now it's existing in your awareness. And every split second, every moment, it changes. Look, now it's going to move over here. Now it's going to move over here. It's changing. Look, its form is changing. Every split second, it's changing. The way it was before is not here anymore. The only thing that's here is the way it is now. And eventually, the book is going to disappear. It's going to go away. Now, the book is a form and it's transient, meaning that it's like a ghost, meaning that it doesn't have any tangible reality that is separate from you. You are the thing that makes the book real. You are the thing that gives the book reality. If you think of a book, that's a thought of a book, that's a concept. And you know that your thought of a book isn't real. But what makes you say that this book is real? What gives this book reality? The thing that gives this form reality is you. You are the thing in each present moment that makes the present moment real. That is the common thing that every single present moment has in common, is that you are there to experience it. You are there as awareness, taking in the forms. Now, okay. So, notice what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to use my words to point your awareness to the deepest sense of I am, to your own heart. But the I am doesn't only reside in the heart, that is its source, but it also expands out and permeates the entire universe. So notice how if I asked you to point to yourself, if I were like, who are you? You would point with usually you take your right hand and you'd point here. You say, this is me. I am me. Point to your heart. And specifically a little bit right of your heart, because that is the seat of your soul. The source of being right here. Now this might confuse some people, because then what's going to happen is you're going to look in the heart and you're going to identify with the heart, but the heart is a form. That's not what you are. You aren't the idea of a heart. You are pure nothingness, pure awareness. So this is how the self-inquiry is going to work. You are going to keep your attention on that sense of I am for as long as possible until your timer goes off. And you're just going to stay in the I am. So what's going to happen is thoughts and forms are going to come distract you. Sounds, all that stuff is going to come distract you. And what you do is you keep asking yourself the question over and over again, who is this experience happening to? What gives this experience reality? Who is aware of this experience? What am I? Who am I? These questions, they sound like different questions, but they're all trying to point you inwards and trying to make you aware of your nature as awareness. So other questions you can ask are, what was I before I was born? What was I before my parents even met? That's actually a good question, because it can't be answered with the mind. It can only be answered with the heart, with experience. Also, other good questions are, what stays the same in each present moment? What am I when I am in deep, dreamless sleep? These are all great questions that you can ask yourself, and they're all trying to point you to the same thing. Now, self-inquiry is an extremely powerful spiritual practice, very powerful. And it's also very difficult to do properly. So it's important that you follow the guidelines in this video very closely. You may have to watch this video multiple times, because what's going to happen is you are going to be doing self-inquiry and you are going to identify with a form. This is what the ego naturally must do. So you're going to identify with your idea of nothingness, or you're going to identify with your idea of spirit or of the heart. But it's very important, whenever any experience appears, you ask yourself, who is this experience happening to? So let's say there's some pain. Let's say you're distracted. Let's say you get scared. Who is this experience happening to? And you stay there. You stay in the I am, in the who. Who? Now, after a while, it will become very easy, very effortless for you to abide in the sense of I am. And this is a very peaceful place, a very relaxing place, a very joyful place. And this is your true nature. Congratulations. You are joy. But not the feeling of joy. You are actually the source of joy. You are not a thing. Your true nature can only be described in terms of what you are not. You can only be pointed to in terms of what you are not. You can only be described in negative terms. So you are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the spirit. You are not the soul. You are not the awareness. You are not being. You are not nothingness. You are not non-being. You are not your idea of self. You are not your face. You are not your age. You're not your name. You are not anything. You are the... I can't tell you what you are, but I can tell you what you are not. And you have to discover what you are for yourself. Hint, again, it's not a thing. Very important. Now, I have a beautiful book over here. Excuse me as I get this book. This book is called I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. Now, this book is so beautiful for explaining self-inquiry. This book really has helped me in my own spiritual process identify with the true self, and it really helps me a lot. When you're able to identify with the true self, you're able to become a conscious creator of your life. You're able to consciously create art, and also to consciously create the present moment in the way that you want. because the ego is no longer trying to control and manipulate the present moment, but instead you are kind of taking a step back and allowing God, allowing the entire universe to act through you. The purpose of self-inquiry is to stop getting in the way of your true nature, to stop getting in the way of God, and just to allow God to use you as its instrument. And this requires selflessness. And how do we attain selflessness? By realizing that it is always true and that it's here now. Selflessness is what you are. So I'm going to leave you with a beautiful quote by Nisargadatta Maharaj. He's awesome. And we're going to find the quote. It's right over here. Hang in with me. Here we are. The questioner asks, if my real self is peace and love, why is it so restless? Nisargadatta says, it is not your real being that is restless, but its reflection in the mind appears restless because the mind is restless. It is just like the reflection of the moon in the water that is stirred by the wind. The wind of desire stirs the mind and the me, which is but a reflection of the self in the mind. It appears changeful. But these ideas of movement, of restlessness, of pleasure and pain are all in the mind. The self, the true self, stands beyond the mind, aware but unconcerned. Questioner asks, how do I reach it? Nisargadatta says, you are the self, here and now. Leave the mind alone. Stand aware and unconcerned, and you will realize that to stand alert but detached, watching events come and go, is an aspect of your real nature. Questioner asks, what are the other aspects? Nisargadatta says the aspects are infinite in number. Realize one, and you will realize all. And yeah, it's a beautiful book. I can keep going, I can keep reading, but this video is getting long, so I'm gonna end it here. I hope this video helped you learn how to do self-inquiry. This is an extremely powerful spiritual technique. My videos coming up will be a lot more about how to identify with the true self. I've been able to do this a lot more in my own life, as I'm sure you can tell by the energy that I'm communicating through the camera. So I am very excited to share this new level of consciousness with all of you. It's a very difficult journey. There's many ups and downs. Sometimes I feel very depressed and sad, but the goal of this channel is to share these teachings of higher consciousness through myself by doing some serious spiritual practices, and then just sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing and helping you identify with your true nature, helping you remember who you are, because that is what you want. You can spend your whole life chasing pleasure, playing video games, watching movies and pornography, and you can spend your entire life chasing things. But eventually, you're going to have to come home. And home is right here. It's what you are. But you can spend an entire lifetime stuck in the mind trying to reach peace, trying to reach happiness in the future, trying to reach spiritual enlightenment, trying to reach success. But until you realize that there is no reaching success because it's right here in the moment. And then from that place of fulfillment in the self, from that place, then you can do whatever you want. You can start a business, you can have relationships, you can live whatever kind of life that you want. But first, realize your true nature. And that's what this channel is helping you to do. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video, and click on the video here that's linked. This is another spiritual practice that will also help you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.